That my uncle was he liked to challenge authority. He very much liked to challenge authority. He had a strong rebellious streak. And at one point he was writing a book called Night of the Realtors. And the book was about a realtor who managed to sell the White House.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Urban Rush. We're about to talk about a great book, and of course, writers always do research when they're doing a book, or most of the time anyway, and you never know what kind of information you might come across.
Yes, the research for Night of the Realtors led to a very interesting experience for our next guest. His name is David Jennison. He is the author of Night of the Realtors.
Hello.
How are you, David?
Hello.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming in. Maybe you should
Thanks for
explain
having me.
the book first, and tell us a little bit about the book.
The book is about a Canadian realtor who sells the White House. His name is Red Devlin. He's modeled after a real person, you know, the sort of realtor in white shoes, white belt.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
All that.
Drives the macked out weird car.
Exactly, yeah.
Now,
yeah.
how does he come about selling the White House?
As I was researching the novel, I wrote the National Archives asking for a copy or reproduction of the deed for the White House, just to see if I could find loopholes in it or something like that, right? And 2 months passed, and I got a letter back stating from him after a 2-month search they couldn't find the deed for the White House.
That's unbelievable.
Okay, no, but here's the other thing, right? You think, and your character did the same thing.
Exactly.
You think, well, that means that anyone can have the deed to the White House.
Precisely. And when I got the letter, I thought it was a bill for a search or something like that. And I opened it up, and it says, we can't find the deed. And I just went, this is money in the mail. I am convinced that they do not have the deed to the White House. In fact, I know the fact that, you know, when George Washington was buying the land from the tobacco farmers in Washington, D.C., he got them drunk. That's just true.
Smart guy.
He was the first realtor.
Now, you actually went out and bought the deed to the White House.
No.
Well, okay, how does this work? Yeah.
Okay. Knowing there was no, and this is very, you know, sort of limited specific knowledge. No one else knows this. Okay, no one else knows there's no deed except me. Because I'm the only one with the letter.
You got the letter, right?
Right, okay. So I went and got something called a quitclaim deed, which you can get online.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with it?
No.
Well, no, just from reading about it, but it's just we've got to explain this to the viewers, how this led to you owning the deed.
Dave, there's a law not too many people know about that allows you to lay a claim on a property if no deed can be found. I think you should try and lay a claim on 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Jesus, Dave, you actually got the deed? We gotta get rid of this thing. I'm freaking out now. The CIA is gonna kill us in our sleep tonight. Okay, I've got the deed up on eBay for a starting price of $50. I don't know if we'll get much more than that. Just like we thought, it's only gone up $5 overnight. It's gone up to $500. $550. Dave, it's gone up to $15,000. That's only day 2. What's this gonna be up to after 28 more days? So Golden Palace told you they'll pay more than the highest bidder? This could be worth a fortune.
I believe he wanted to get publicity for the listing to drive the price up even higher. And so he phoned the White House itself the night before the listing was canceled. And so he sort of shot himself in the foot, because obviously the White House didn't like this, and they called eBay and said, hey, you got to pull this, which is what they did. He did end up getting $50 or something like that from a guy who deals in curiosities.
While all this was going on, I thought I might try and contact some television shows in the U.S. that I thought might be interested in this story. I sent messages to David Letterman and Jay Leno, Good Morning America. One morning I got an email from Good Morning America saying they were interested in interviewing Dave on their show. We were pretty excited, thinking that even though David lost the deed, maybe he'd get some publicity for the book. But as Dave's bad luck continued to hold, The next day, Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans. They lost all interest in Dave and his story. We never heard from them again.